Okay. Hi, I'm Frankie Minori, or Joseph Francis Minori Jr., and this is my video vlog, and it's going to be on the movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. The movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is about a teenage adult boy who just broke up with his now ex-girlfriend, and he finds a new girl named Ramona Flowers. But the conflict is that to date her, he must defeat her 7 evil exes. And throughout the movie, you meet a bunch of the quirky characters, and he has to fight them all while dealing with the fact that he's dating a high school girl at the same time. And it consists of a bunch of references to classic video games, comic books, or retro and new age pop culture. Now, this is without a doubt my favorite movie. I've seen it definitely over 10 times. And what draws me into it is the quirkiness of the movie. The world itself is so it's based off of a comic book, and the movie just brings itself together with its use of editing and just the little touches it has that are perfect. And I'm going to focus on some very specific aspects. And so my first one is it's based off of the comic book, and in comic books you have sounds like pow, crack, whip, zap. All those are written out. In this movie, whenever there's a sound effect like someone gets punched, or someone gets thrown and they scream, it gets shown on screen in text. So, for example, Scott Pilgrim is thrown by the third evil ex, who's Todd Ingram, who has psychic powers because he's a vegan. This is an example of the movie's quirkiness right there. And when he's thrown up, he screams up, but then this blue trail of text follows him all the way up. And then in the same fight scene, Scott grabs a bass guitar and starts to play it, and they have a bass battle, and Todd Ingram grabs his, and so as they play chords, like if it's D chord it shows up, if it's a C chord it shows up. And another example of this movie's great, that little effect that's so perfect, is in the first fight scene with Matthew Patel, who was called a gay pirate with his outfit. Uh, he counters one of Scott's moves, catches him off guard, hits him in the face, and a crash sound plays, or crack, either one, forget which. And it's like the word is made of glass, and then it falls onto the floor and shatters. And it's such a little touch, but it makes all of the difference. And speaking of little touches, this movie is full of them. So an example of little touches is that in the third Evil Ex, who I just talked about, punched a hole in the moon for Ramona Flowers. Oh yeah, and the League of Evil Exes are all Ramona's ex-boyfriends or girlfriends. But he punches a hole in the moon for Ramona. Now, earlier on in the second fight scene, there's a camera shot that points at the moon. And in the moon, there is a hole. Now, you would not know about this unless you had seen the movie or read the comic book beforehand. I didn't even notice it after watching it the second time. So it was a fantastic little touch that makes the movie, watching it again is a different experience every time. And you notice different details all the time. And the other thing I wanted to focus on was the film's use of, I'm running out of time. Film's use of split screen shots in the movie. And split screen shots are when you have a border separating characters somehow, and there's 2 shots on screen so you can see 2 events unfold. This is mainly used in phone calls. So the first example is Scott is talking to his evil ex-girlfriend, or not evil, his ex-girlfriend, Envy Adams. And when the scene starts, you see his Wallace's gay roommate, once again another example of the movie's character, turn around and say "oh no" when he hears that it's Envy, and then it blacks out, and half the screen is Scott, who is all in light, half the screen is Envy, who is mostly darkness, keeping her character a secret because she's the singer of a very popular band at the time in the story, and Scott's shown in light, so it's the contrast of light and dark to make so she has evil intent, and the entire scene plays out well because at the same time they have drawings that represent the cartoon up in the corner to show his emotions or whatever he's saying when it's comedic. It's excellent. Another scene that just shows off this movie's great use of split screen shots, which are not often used, and I didn't realize how powerful they could be, is when he's on the phone with his sister, Stacy Pilgrim, who works in a coffee shop. And when he calls her and the scene's very fast paced because a lot of scenes in the movie are they're not extremely fast paced. They're fast paced, keep you on your feet like a comic book in some ways. As soon as he hangs up the phone with her, it goes from the split screen shot of them talking to him walking right into the coffee shop where he is, and it's such a surprising transition, and it's really well done, and it stood out to me for some reason because it was really cool and unexpected. So what I want to wrap this up with, because I ran out of time a lot quicker than I meant to, is this is a movie that has great use of editing, camera shots, and I could talk about it for hours, but I had to focus on something super specific because I just love this movie and I love the little touches. So I'd say if you haven't seen it, you have to see this movie. The fight scenes are great. Actors look like the characters in the comic, and the acting is great. Jason Schwartzman does it, and Michael Cera do a great job, and so does everyone else. Um, like I said, the fight scenes are great. Actors are great. Just everything about the movie is great. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you have seen it, watch it again. And I would suggest watching it with people. It's so cool to see a movie that makes you take away your concept of reality and go into its reality, which is really cool to be immersed in a completely different realm. And it does this through the editing, acting, and all of it as a whole package. And I would definitely see it. And now I have to cite my sources, which are our textbook, the Looking at Movies, and the movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and the rest is from my databanks in my head. And this is Frankie Benoit, just Francis Benoit Jr. I'm signing off.